is Stephen Sondheim to me.
I didn't really know much about Sondheim.
I started listening to albums like Avenue Q, The Book of Mormon, Rent.
Chorus Line and Charlie Brown and Tick Tick Boom.
Like Sound of Music and Mary Poppins and all that.
And I was kind of loving the musical theater world anyway by the time I was around 10 years old.
I thought it was amazing, and I didn't really know who Stephen Sondheim was.
That all changed one day when I went and saw a college production of Sunday in the Park with George.
We went, we got tickets, we got seats, we got snacks, we sat down, we were ready to have a good time.
I'm not gonna lie, part of why I was even involved in the show is because a guy I was crushing on really hard was in the show, and,
I don't know if I want to do this, but hey, let's try.
And it was completely different from what I'd heard as, the classic musical theater stereotype.
And I can remember the exact moment.
I remember walking out of the movie theater and just being like, holy crap, that's one of the best musicals I've ever seen.
He started my interest and appreciation for musical theater.
The gateway drug, if you will.
And from there on, I kind of declared myself as a Sondheim fan.
He's the person that gave me my passion for musical theater.
And I just kind of became a bit obsessed with it.
The father of modern musical theater.
Man's a legend.
Stephen Sondheim has affected me more than any other creator ever has.
I obviously am a huge Sondheim fan.
Stephen Sondheim, the man.
There are no other people on the planet that can hit you in the same way that he can.
He makes it worth something.
Like it was something I hadn't really been introduced to before, this idea of complex theater.
Musicals can be complex, but musicals can be it can be more than entertainment.
Just incredibly moving. It's not just like you're listening to a song, you're having an experience when you're listening to Sondheim.
How do you write shows like this?
I know the man has changed my life, and that there's no human way I can repay what he's done for me.
He taught me about motif, theme, and variation. He taught me everything that I didn't even know what I was learning.
Up until that point, I'd been under the impression that all musicals were lighthearted, that they were la-di-da-di-da, and
I saw a production of Into the Woods.
Into the Woods.
Assassins.
Sweeney Todd.
Passion.
West Side Story.
Company.
Merrily Roll Long.
Sunday in the Park with George.
A funny thing happened on the way to the forum.
Side by Sondheim.
I had just bought tickets for the concert of Sweeney Todd.
I talked about it for weeks.
Really, I had never seen anything like this before.
But Sweeney Todd is where it all started.
I think that's one of his best. I think that is his best, Sweeney Todd. Actually, no, Company is his best. That's my favourite musical.
Oh my god, what is this music? What are these lyrics? And I fell in love.
It absolutely blew me away.
Absolutely blown away.
And I would listen to Sweeney Todd over and over and over again.
And I played it again. And I played it again until I knew all the words.
Sondheim sort of changed my life.
Sondheim's shows can bring people together in a very deep emotional way that can connect them in ways that a lot of musicals can't.
It was hard to find people who like musical theater.
So on my first lecture, we were talking about musical theatre, and some people mentioned Sondheim, and now there's some really good friends of mine.
He asked me, oh, what's your favorite musical? I said Sweeney Todd, and he's like, dude, me too. I ran up to this guy and hugged him, and we have been best friends ever since. I was like, why? Where have you been all my life?
It really helped me bud into this mess you see here.
I just felt a little less alone when that happened.
I identify with this because I'm all trapped in my life too.
I know Sondheim can be really, really, really powerful, but you have to keep it together.
In fact, I was listening to it this morning on the way to school, and I started tearing up.
I cried every time.
I apologize if I start to cry. When I listened to it for the first time, I cried.
I promise myself I won't cry, but I might.
His music really, it makes you feel something.
Make you consider things you'd never considered before.
Really affected me, and I think that is part of the reason why I love Sondheim now as much as I do.
Beautiful songs out of context, but then once you put them in the context of the show, oh boy.
In a period where I was crying myself to sleep every night, and I felt lonely, And Stephen Sondheim is all I had for company.
Music helps me a lot. You know, certain songs kind of keeps me up and gives me that boost of like, you know, to just keep going.
And that was like God jumped through the song and told me what to do. And I was struggling, and I might tear up, sorry.
Just keep going. I mean, you may not make all the right decisions, but you have to make a decision. You have to keep going. You have to do something. You can't just stay stuck somewhere.
You are never ashamed to feel these emotions when you're dealing with these shows. They open you up and they make you feel things, whether you want to or not. And I think it's usually good to let yourself feel those things as a result of this music. And it's amazing.
It's amazing every time I hear something new when I listen to a Sondheim song. And
singing, I had to like Google the lyrics. I was like, I have no idea what they were singing, but I loved every minute of it.
I feel like everyone can find a connection to it some way or another.
And I think that's the beautiful thing about Stephen Sondheim.
I hope that one day I am able to touch people in such a way that he's affected me.
Someday I hope to be able to shake your hand, give you a hug, and cry on your shoulder, because I've cried on your shoulder many times without you knowing. You've been there for me.
That man, that weird old New York man, has saved my life.
I really have to thank Stephen Sondheim for that.
I owe that to Stephen Sondheim.
That man has affected me in so many ways that even this short, rambling tedium of a video really can't even sum up.
I think Sondheim changed my life, and
he's so full of joy and happiness. I remember thinking to myself, every time Stephen Sondheim laughs, a prodigy must be born, because it was like this deep Santa Claus laugh.
That's the power of Sondheim.
I'd like to propose a toast to Mr. Stephen Sondheim.
He's had 70 years of doing this amazing work. He could stop right now and still be a legend.
And I think, like, if it weren't for Sondheim, I really wouldn't be the person I am today.
I love Stephen Sondheim.
I hope somehow this gets to Sondheim. A thank you.
Just cheers to Stephen Sondheim.
I am eternally grateful.
Just thank you so much to him.
Thank you.
Thanks for everything.
Thank you, Stephen Sondheim.
That's my Stephen Sondheim story.
Happy Sondheim September.
See you next time.
Good night. Happy Sondheim September. Have fun going through this video and all the other ones. Peace. That didn't work. That was the wrong button. Ugh, fuck, why am I like this? Anyway, goodbye.